happens. All right. I think we're live. Every live stream starts with
Wait,
me going, I think we're
I
live.
think we're live. I
I
was
think.
expecting some kind of hey, live,
Oh, yeah. No, I wish that would
Yeah,
be
no, that
nice
doesn't
if
happen.
it really confirmed that. But I believe we are live. So, hello, everyone, and
Sweet.
welcome to another Filmmaker chat. As you might already know, unless you're new to this channel, this was something that I planned to do for Patreon originally. But because of the pandemic, I thought it'd be nice to connect with more people. So I do the live streams for you all of my subscribers to watch live because they're live streams. and But if you ever miss them or you want to rewatch them or you want access to the entire archive of all of the live streams, you can do that by supporting me on Patreon. And there's a link in the description below. And then you get access and you can watch them whenever you want. But thank you all for joining us. I'm sure more people will show up soon, but welcome to the one person watching. Thank you so much. But feel free to drop your own questions in the chat because today I am very excited to be interviewing Zack Morrison. Welcome, Zack.
Thanks for having me. This is really
Yeah,
exciting. I've never done
thank
a live
you.
stream before.
Okay. Well, you're rocking it so far. The
Perfect.
lighting, you've nailed the lighting in the background.
Thank you. I prefer my bedroom at all times to be a lesson in color temperature, just in case someone happens to walk in or view the live stream. We can talk about tungsten and daylight,
There you
you know.
go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, that or you can be like, this is what it looks like in Space Mountain and my bedroom, right?
Space Mountain is an aesthetic I strive for, just in life
Yeah.
in general.
Um, Let me just tell people your questions in the chat. Oops, that came out garbled. You guys understand. But Zach is a director, producer, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and Zach has done several award-winning short films. He's been a producer for Buzzfeed, Cartoon Network, and the Space Channel. You've script coordinated for the Kids Tonight Show, which I didn't know was a thing until I looked you up on IMDb, to be honest. And most impressively, you're a winner of the Television Academy's Student Emmy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. That was really really cool. And yeah, like the film we did for that was probably my favorite piece to date. So it was really cool to see that happen and see that be like the kind of culmination of the festival run and just all the work that went in over the years. It was really neat.
That's amazing. And was that which film was that? Was that the musical?
Yeah, that was Everything's Fine, a Panic Attack in D major.
Nice. Nice. Which everybody should check out. It is on Zach's Vimeo, which there's a link to in the description below. So definitely check it out. It's I think it's is it 12 minutes or longer?
Yeah, it's like 13 with
13?
credits, 13 and
Nice.
change. Yeah, something like that.
Wow. And it's a whole musical and it's brilliant and fantastic and completely well done. So let's start off with that one, Zach. And also, just really quick, hello, Flip and Zippo. Welcome to the chat. Feel free to put any questions you have in there. But Zach, tell us what inspired this film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big musical fan in general. Like growing up, like my favorite movie, I still argue this is the best movie of all time, The Blues Brothers. That
Oh,
was like
so good.
it was
So
so
good.
good. Like that like SNL and then fast forward to like Andy Samberg digital shorts, like that was sort of my comedic upbringing.
Mm.
So I've always had a soft spot for musicals, but even stuff like The Sound of Music, Chicago, I always kind of gravitated towards it. Never did musical theater in high school. I was a band nerd, so I played the saxophone. But as I got into college and like into filmmaking, music was always sort of a common, like in hindsight, music was always kind of a common theme in a lot of my work. So when I got to the point in grad school where I wanted to do my thesis film, I knew it just needed to be a musical. especially after
Mm.
years of film school projects being very not musicals. So
Yeah.
I just kind of I knew what it needed to be, and then at the time I was I oh man, this was like 2017, so I was maybe 25, 26. I'm
Mm.
screwing that math up, but I was going through that like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? Quarter life crisis that you
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
go through.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I was sort of, it's like I'm about to finish grad school, I'm going into student debt, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, and all of that was sort of what was boiling up, and I was having very real, very physical panic attacks for like the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
um and sort of like in the process of navigating all that and learning like what the hell this is, and um the that plus like the comedic side of my brain sort of lent itself to like, let's do a musical to unpack this,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so that's kind of where the story came from, of like, it's a in a not autobiographical way whatsoever, a character with the first letter in her name being Z, goes through
Mm.
her quarter life crisis, and gets out of school, moves to New York City, and um so
You mean
I
that's
felt
not
like,
you in the film?
no, no, not at all, not whatsoever. No, it felt like, after years of in grad school, like trying to play in the sandbox and try to like push myself out of my comfort zone, and do films that were not the kind of stuff I typically do.
Mhm.
I felt like, let me just lean into what I'm feeling and lean into trying to work through some stuff with myself, and that turned itself into a 15-minute musical.
Wow.
So
That's amazing. It's so well done. It's really fantastic. I mean,
thank you.
you must be a Crazy Ex-Girlfriend fan, I'm guessing maybe?
I became a fan after.
Oh,
I
okay.
like, because that show was like just coming out, when we were kind of in the middle of doing it, and so,
Really?
well,
Wow.
when was that show on the air? Like 2015, 2016,
Yeah, probably.
around
Yeah.
that. And if it was on the air for years prior, I only just discovered it in
Yeah.
that moment. But no, I saw the pilot. I love the pilot. The first season I thought was great. But I also wanted to, like, as I was going through the creative process of like writing and rewriting, I didn't want to like watch too much of it, and
Mm,
because I didn't
mhm.
want to like find myself leaning into it. But
Gotcha.
but
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yes, now like I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant.
Like, if that show was still on the air, you would definitely have a job on that show. For sure.
I would have loved to written for that show. Like, that would have been
Yeah.
like a dream writer job.
So, like, you say that you're, like, into the musical and everything. Do you yourself sing?
Only when no one's looking, or if I'm hiding behind this being a sketch,
Yeah, yeah.
No, I do a lot of like I write very jokey songs, a lot of like the YouTube stuff that I
Mhm.
do. It's like a sketch kind of variety show called We Have a Show. I've been
Oh, yeah.
doing it for years now, and like, so I'll do like jokey songs and stuff on there, or like the occasional cover of something just for fun for like Instagram. When the pandemic started, I was making covers of songs, but making them about like being stuck inside in quarantine. Remember,
Oh.
remember like early 2020 when it was still funny to be joking
Yeah.
about, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I do.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did like, you know, Kenny and Dolly, like, Islands in the Stream, but we're in quarantine.
Oh, nice,
That is
nice.
where we are, so like that kept me entertained for a little bit. But no, like, singing singing, and like music in general is like a me thing, and that's sort of my hobby when I need to get away from writing and directing and film and
Mhm.
the insanity of entertainment. Music's sort of that like solace for me.
Wow. So did you write all the songs in the musical?
I co-wrote all the music.
Okay.
My writing partner Dave Seaman, who is a brilliant musician and a brilliant composer and playwright in his own right.
Wow.
I sort of went to him with like the first draft of the songs. Like, it's just me and a guitar and some lyrics, and like, hey, is this like a thing? And over the course of several weeks, we kind of worked through it. Chris Pacey, who's like a good buddy of mine, he helped me out with some of that, and Owen Danoff produced the music. So it was definitely a team effort. But I there were many a night of like me bashing my head against like a keyboard trying to figure out like what rhymes with, you know, this word and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
But it was a fun challenge for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Did you like, um, like, did you sit down and be like, okay, I know I want to do X amount of songs, or was it just sort of whatever worked to tell the narrative? Like, how's that process when you're doing a musical, picking when to put music?
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of like a sort of like a ping pongy type of a process. Like I knew what I wanted to do. And when I started out, like the very first draft of the script was very, very cynical, very just bad,
Oh
and
no.
nothing except the title from the original draft is in this current, like is in the film. Um, but so even like the first draft of the song is a totally different song.
Oh wow.
That was kind of me writing this, like, what's the most like fuck you film school anti like Columbia project that I could do. But then as like it kind of progressed, I started leaning into being more genuine with the lyrics, and then the first, like, the title track, the first song came about.
Mm.
um and then I think the second one I wrote was the dancing Xanax, like the panic attack song,
Yeah,
like out of sight, out of mind.
so good.
That one leans into a little cynicism as well, but so I kind of just like sort of threw stuff at the wall, and um, I was living with my roommate in Harlem, Chris Pacey. He was like we were buddies in college, and when I moved to New York for grad school, he kind of moved with me, and so there were like a couple months where I was just like walking around the apartment with a guitar and just kind of like trying things, and we would like bounce stuff off each other, and so those first two songs kind of came together, and that was sort of my blueprint of like, okay, one's a beginning point, and one is maybe the kind of low point at the end of act two ish, maybe,
Yeah, yeah.
so that kind of gave me a little bit of structure. And then I started writing the script, and then my producer and we kind of like went back and forth, and as the story started to come together, that's when I found, the panic attack song with the mirror, or the oh why, the sort of social media FOMO, everyone's getting married, I'm alone, like
Yeah.
that song came. And so it kind of just, as I was writing, the songs came, and then as I wrote a song, I found a scene that the song could go for.
Mm.
And then to his credit and his genius, Dave Seaman in the room came up with the melody for the very last song at the end, because I
Oh,
had no idea how it was supposed to end. That was like the thing I was struggling with the most, and he just like, as we were recording the other songs, he just sort of like
oh.
busted it out on piano. Hey man, like what about this? you know,
Yeah.
and it worked out
Wow.
great. So
That's incredible. That's amazing. Wow. So how long was that writing process? Several months or?
It was, I wrote the first like outline of the story because we were applying for a grant. And
Oh,
this was,
okay.
yeah, so this was winter of 2016
Okay.
is when we applied for the grant, because I was working at Seth Meyers at the time. And that was when, that was also during the election and stuff, so it was insane.
Yeah.
And so like that whole era is like burned into my brain. But I remember like I wrote the first draft, and we applied for the draft, or the grant.
Grant.
And then
We
in
applied for the draft we got in the military,
like
you
the
know?
draft
Changed our complete direction.
but then in 2017, I was writing all from January all the way through the summer. I mean,
Wow.
we shot in October 2017, and so pretty much it was nonstop writing up until we had to start recording the music. Um,
Wow.
so
That's
yeah, it was
amazing.
a lot of drafts, a lot of like, and I had the time, so thankfully there was times where I could, try to figure stuff out, and first it was like big picture stuff, like making it, how do I make this less stupid and more meaningful, and then it's like, okay, what like are the what are the lyrics we're going to change, what,
Mhm.
how does the character beat, flesh out and stuff. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was a
totally.
fun process.
Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing. So, when you're shooting a musical, for those of you that don't know, you have the extra challenge of having to sync up to the music, and you tend to, correct me if I'm wrong, but you tend to record the music first and then you play back on set
Yeah.
and you have to sync it up. So tell us about like what were the challenges that you faced while filming a musical that are, different for a normal film, and like how did you overcome those?
I mean, I think the big thing was like you said, we had this whole extra element of the music had to happen, and I've done musical shorts before. I've done music videos, and so
Mhm,
as far as the mechanical process goes, that was I was familiar with it.
mhm,
But that said, the music had to be essentially locked by the time we shot. Otherwise, like if the tempo of the music changes, if the song changes, what we shoot is pointless,
yeah,
so
yeah,
there was a lot of emphasis going into the songwriting, into the recording, into like the production of the music. um and that was a challenge because I've never actually recorded music before. When I've done musicals in the past, it was like this microphone, my buddy on a piano, and me with a guitar, like all right here, just like
yeah.
single tracking it.
Oh wow,
But
wow.
this was like, we worked in like a music studio with an engineer, and so like that was sort of a challenge. But then when we were um on set shooting, it honestly, like, all the hard work happened before, because once we got to set, it was like we were shooting a music video.
Mm,
We had someone holding
mhm.
up a speaker, like Say Anything style, and then we would just like everyone would basically lip sync to the the music on playback.
Mhm,
I love to have the actors and the performers sing live, even though like it's we're going to use the playback track. I find that there's a physicality to like having to actually sing, and
mhm,
like the worst is when you see like a music video and you can tell they're just like lip syncing to it, so trying to like get the physicality of the performance, even though we knew we had it banked in playback, like that was kind of a fun challenge.
mm,
And it kind of like honestly, it solved more problems than it caused, because a lot of the creative thinking was sort of taken out of my hands at that point.
mhm.
Like, there's only so much we can do, and we only have this much time. On like the 16 bar instrumental break between verse one and verse two. Like, I can't go crazy and like improv a whole new scene, because we're
Right.
we're we're in these 16 bars. So it was a fun challenge in that sense, because I love to improvise. I love to let actors play. I love
Mhm,
to discover new beats and even new scenes in the moment. We couldn't really do that with this one, so it
mhm.
was an exercise in kind of like coloring in the lines.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Dr. Leaf just asked if we were talking about Everything's Fine, a panic attack in major D. Yes, we are. And
Major D.
he also says major D in D major, sorry. Major D. You know, maybe
Yeah.
E's there too. But he says that that video was so fun to watch and super relatable, really hit close to home. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I mean, I didn't make it, but thank you for complimenting Zach.
what was his name? Leaf.
Dr. Leaf.
Dr. Leaf. Thank
Dr.
Dr.
Leaf.
Leaf. Thank you.
Yes. So okay, so you have a boom box that you're holding up, and I wanted to ask, did you do the two pop? So for those who don't know, sometimes when you're doing music videos, you have, so that you don't have to play back the entire song, you have sections of the song and you do a two pop before that section that allows you to sync it up in post. So did you do the two pop method, or were you guys going straight from the top?
We had things too popped. But most of the if you actually if you watch the film, most of it's long takes.
Which I didn't, I decided, no, just kidding.
Well, thank you for watching it.
I'm kidding. I did watch it. I did watch it.
No, but like it, and that was sort of another thing that we it was sort of a happy accident, in that it took sort of some decision making out of my hands. It's like I went into it with a shot list that was like 30 pages, but
Uh-oh, we lost your audio.
No,
Not
wait,
again.
no, hold on, wait.
Hold on.
Okay, we're gonna fix it. It's gonna take two
Okay.
seconds. One, and then two, and then here, and then there. Okay, can you hear me? Are we good?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Okay, I got really quick. I think I knocked it.
Yeah.
I'm
You were so excited. Oh, no, I think you did it again.
hello, hello.
Oh, wait, no, I can hear you. Okay, cool. We're good.
I'm gonna not
Don't
touch
touch
any of this.
anything.
Don't
Don't
touch it.
breathe.
Okay.
Wait, you were saying okay, so you did the 2 pot for some things, but I
Yeah.
think
Oh, yeah. So we did we went into it having it two popped and having like segments because I thought I was gonna shoot the hell out of it. Like
mm,
I had insane coverage for each scene that I'm glad we didn't shoot. Um, but there's sort of the nature of how with like the time constraints and sort of what we were working with, and it ended up being a lot of long takes, which
mm,
was not the plan. But that's just sort of how the film came together. And so, for better or worse, we did a lot of like, okay, from the top,
mm.
let's just reset like back to one.
Yeah. They're kinda like
Yeah,
oneers, right? Like it sort of morphs into different angles and whatnot, but it's all one take.
yeah. The only time like we only really cut when it's like a jarring like smash cut. There's
Mm.
no like there are no fun sort of cinematic cuts. It's like, oh, we are moving on, you know. But again, that was not the plan. And so we went into filming. We had, you know, verse A, verse B, verse C. We had all of those music tracks queued and prepped, and it just got as we went through the day, each day, we kind of just started throwing out shots. Like my DP and I, Adam
Mm.
Volrich, we worked together on a lot of projects before, so thankfully we had a shorthand with each other. Um, we just kind of started like, okay, we don't need that, like we don't need this. Let's just do this. Let's run it again. And um, the only planned oneer was the out of sight, out of mind sequence. Like
Oh, okay.
it was the only thing that like going into production, I was like, this is the oneer. Everything else is going to be shot up. But
Mhm.
most things just kind of by nature of Carly's performance and the physicality of the motion and the camera tracking and all that stuff, it just kind of lent itself to being a lot of oneers. And so it may
Nice.
again like that was the music setting rules for us that I didn't anticipate, but it made it easier on editing.
Yeah.
We were picture locked in a day, which
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's really impressive. Yeah. The Out of Sight, Out of Mind was definitely the one that I was thinking of, and then also the very first song, because we, like, start on the close-up of her, and then it sort of pulls back and everything, and, it's very cool. Awesome cinematography and blocking, I'm sure, that was had to be planned. In fact, I think that's how I first discovered you on Twitter is somebody had retweeted this really cool thread that you did breaking down like this is what I did, for blocking the scene and storyboarding and this is my process with I think it was even line script, right? Like you're
yeah,
showing me the
yeah,
line scripts.
yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah,
Um
that was a habit I made in college. Like my directing professor in undergrad at Rutgers taught like kind of drilled line scripts
mm,
into our brains. And now that's the only way. Like I don't know how to work other
without doing
outside
it.
without that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's how it goes. So
I also do it. It's just it gives you like a peace of mind, like, if I don't do that step, the line script which, by the way, if you don't know what a line script is, I have a video on this channel explaining what a line script is,
I
so check
saw
it
that.
out. Yeah, it's very fun. But, like, it gives me the peace of mind, and then I can sleep. Otherwise, I will stay up all night being like, "But do I have enough coverage? Did I
Yeah.
forget anything?"
No, I with like I need to do my director's homework or else I'm gonna be up all night. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be up all night before a shoot anyway. Like,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
happening.
it's kinda
But
given.
right. But no, like I have to have that plan going into a shoot. So that way when like shit hits the fan, and Murphy's Law decides to like really lay it down on us that day,
Mhm.
when it comes time to actually throw out the plan and improvise, it's cool because I know that I did the prep work beforehand.
Yeah.
I think if I didn't do any prep and I was just sort of winging it when it came time to scramble, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
than I already would be losing it. But that like prep work is vital for me. And yeah, with everything's fine. The funny part was a lot of the if you look at the lined script in that thread, I over planned like way too much, you
Mhm.
know. You know, most of it came down to like maybe using one take
Mm.
and moving on.
But it's better to throw shots out than get in the editing room and realize you need them. For
Yeah,
sure.
and that's also part of it. Like I got into the habit early on of forgetting like reaction beats. Like especially
Oh.
like in comedy, the joke is not necessarily the thing the funny person says, but like the reaction of the people listening to it.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, like the fact that someone heard the funny thing, that's actually what makes you laugh. And for the longest time, I forgot to get the shots of the characters like reacting to the crazy thing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was like another reason I started lining scripts is because like, oh right, no, I have to get this person's like the flip, the reverse, you know.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that stuff I would forget that stuff all the time.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, that is the joke. That I even see I feel like I've even seen TV shows where I'm like, they just hang on the person that said the funny thing, and I'm like, "No, you need the reaction shot. You forgot it." Um,
Yeah, it's like I want to live in the awkwardness
mhm.
of like how you feel, you know?
The Office did it really well. That's,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, the best part with I mean, they had like 5 cameras going
Mhm.
all the time. There were at least 2 cameras on every scene, and like
Yeah.
I would love to shoot multicam. Like that would be great. Not doing that anytime soon. So that's where, you know, having to plan all that, it's much harder with like single cam, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Before we move on, I just want to shout out again that if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If you have any questions for Zach about his process or anything, yeah, there we go. Just bloop, 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 bloop. But you mentioned holding a boombox up, playing the songs back, and I'm curious, like a film set already attracts attention. Did you attract extra attention playing music? I'm sure.
Yeah, we did. We shot a lot of it was in Central Park, which
Mhm.
was cool because it's spaced out, and like Central Park is massive, and
Mhm.
so the out of sight, out of mind sequence was in Central Park. The OYOY sequence was all in Central Park. Um, yeah, and so like we had two out of the 5 numbers were in Central Park on like the same day, and
Oh,
so
wow.
a lot of that, like thankfully we were in kind of secluded areas, but several shots were just there were people just walking through or just standing and listening because music was playing. um so
Oh, no.
that was interesting.
Yeah.
But like when we did the Midtown stuff, like with everything's fine, where she's like walking through the city and we spin around her outside of 30 Rock,
Mhm.
no one gave a shit, like that. No one cares if music is playing. It's more like having the camera, like, oh wow, they're shooting a thing, that's huge, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's anytime you have a camera on the sidewalk in New York City, someone is going to come up and just like and just kind of stare at you
Yeah,
or say some stuff.
totally.
So that having like the cameras in public places, that was probably the hardest part, was like having people manage that, you know.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. Well, let's get into casting because you were talking about, we're talking about playback and singing. So like, are the actors singing the song? Like, are they the same as the singers? How did that casting process go? You must have had to involve them early on in the process, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we started casting earlier than maybe I would have normally casted a short film, like especially in
Mhm.
New York City, right? Like a short film that's shooting in New York, you can cast it and then shoot it a week later. You know, it like
Mm.
if you need to, because the access to actors is huge. But for this, I think we had it cast about 2 months out, or like
Oh,
a month
wow.
and a half. No, yeah, probably like 2 months out. Um, First thing we had to do was find the lead. I mean that was just cold backstage auditions. I posted auditions on Backstage, and you know,
Mhm.
we did it cold. And Carly Blaine was the first actress on the first day to come in to audition. uh
Really?
yeah, no, she
What?
was like, it was like she was sent to us from like musical theater god or something, because she
Oh,
just
wow.
like it had all these headshots, and I think we out of like the thousand submissions that we got on Backstage, I think I picked like 200 to come. And yeah, Carly was the first one on the first day, and
Wow.
she just like blew us out of the water. She did a song from In the Heights, and she did something else, and yeah, like every other person that we had, it was just like, oh, that's it wasn't Carly.
Mhm.
No, not Carly. So, um, I mean, and we had callbacks too, and so a lot of the other cast that we found, like her best friend, and
Sorry, 1 second, my room was going off.
oh, no worries.
Sorry.
No,
The
you're
fun of
you're
live streaming.
you're totally fine. But yeah, like some of the actors that we called back, like Chelsea Watts, who ended up playing like the best friend,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
and then Lauren Luciano, who she was the student debt, like I'm your student debt at the end, and then she was the landlord. They were in the callbacks, and so we
Oh.
like the first. I needed people who could sing. That was it was
Mhm.
important to me that actual singers were acting, or
Yeah.
that and that actors were singing.
Mhm.
So yeah, so like everyone's voice in the show is actually their voice. We didn't use any like singing doubles or anything. I wanted that to sort of be as authentic as we could.
Yeah.
And yeah, we did we casted it. We did a black box rehearsal day up in the up at Columbia. We just kind of brought it was that opening scene with the uh everything's fine, like the kind of she's at the camera and then she runs away and then they
Mhm.
walk back. We blocked that out. We also blocked out the dance sequence in Out of Sight Out of Mind, like in Central Park, with like the dancing Instagram panels.
Oh, nice.
So like we did a day of
Yeah.
rehearsal, and then yeah, and then after that we just kind of got into recording. So we laid
Wow.
down some vocals, and I think we did a vocal rehearsal one day as well. But yeah, it was probably more rehearsal than I would have done for a short film. But again, like it was so like the music was so important to it that it needed that extra time.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And you mentioned black box rehearsal. Can you define what a black box rehearsal is?
That's just a rehearsal in a black box space.
Okay.
Just like yeah. Sorry.
No
We
worries.
went to a black box and we did a rehearsal. Uh,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
but no, like I find that you don't always get the luxury to be able to actually rehearse scenes and rehearse choreography with
Mhm.
actors. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a dramatic film, you'll never rehearse. You'll just do it live. Run it one or two times in the room and then shoot it.
Mhm.
But since we had everyone casted as early as we did, I was like, screw it. If we have the time and you guys are available, let's get into a room and just get this on his feet and kind of
Yeah,
like work some stuff out. And
totally.
we found some things in the room that we ended up using in the film that like wasn't, if we didn't do that rehearsal, we wouldn't have found like that little choreographed move or the sort of
Mm.
weave, uh when Zoe and the uh Derek as the Xanax guy kind of like weaved in and out of the different things. Like that was something we figured out in rehearsal as well. So
Oh, nice.
if like you don't always get it, but if you can rehearse, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Um, so how many days did it take you guys to shoot this film?
We shot was it 4 days? I think it
Oh,
was
wow.
yeah, I think it was 4 days.
Okay.
We shot the first day was in Central Park. Um yeah, first day was in Central Park where we shot the Out of Sight Out of Mind was the beginning of the day, and then the back half of the day was the OYOY
Mm.
sequence. And then day 2 and day 3 was some of the apartment stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like the first number where she's in her apartment, later as like we kind of check back in with her in her apartment and she's like staying in home alone and stuff.
Mm.
And then we also did some of the New York City exteriors. So like day 2 and day 3 was the Midtown scene outside of 30 Rock. There was a scene in Harlem where we were like walking past a mural on the sidewalk in Harlem.
Mm.
And then day 4 was New Jersey, where we shot at Rutgers University, which is my alma mater. We shot on campus for like that opening sequence.
Oh,
And then all of the parents' house stuff was at my parents' house in New Jersey. So
nice.
they let us. I mean, I didn't ask. I was just like, hey, we're gonna take over this day. But at this point, they're kind of used to me,
Doing that.
taking over
Yeah.
their house for a little bit. But
That's
it was
awesome.
it was fun. It was a crazy 4 days, but like we made our day every day. We only went into overtime on the final day for like the final setup. So I felt proud in the way that the machine was working and the crew worked together. Yeah, it was a
Nice.
fun. It was a really fun shoot. I like to have, especially for something like this or comedy in general.
Mhm.
It's all about the experience, all about the vibes on set, and so I really like it when we're all having a good time. Nothing is too stressful that we can't get through it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if
totally.
there's like good food at the end of the day, then we're all good.
Right, exactly. So you mentioned that you like applied to a grant for this film, right? Is that correct? And
Yeah.
what what was the budget of the money? What was the budget of the film? What was the amount that you got from the grant? And did you have to like work within the constraints of the grant budget?
Yeah, I mean the grant was through Columbia. So, I was doing this is my MFA thesis film, and Columbia has several different grant opportunities for thesis students, and different people donating to different types of thesis films. And
Oh,
the alumnus who sponsored our grant, we were sort of, I think, the experiment. Like this was definitely not the type of film that most Columbia grad students made. So I very very appreciative of the fact that we got the grant, but it was for 10 grand,
mm.
and we were like, okay, that is the budget of the movie. This is all the fundraising we're doing. So
Wow, just 10 grand. That's
yeah,
impressive.
it ended up being with, I think we put in, like, my producer and I put in an extra $1,000 for post. So yeah, so
Okay.
or to finish up post. So yeah, it was
Mhm.
about $11,000 total.
Wow.
And yeah, as soon as the grant came in, I was like, we're not going to get any more money for this. I'm not going to ask people to donate. Like, this is what we have, so this is what we're going to do.
Nice.
And yeah, we
Yeah.
were able to make it work for about 11 grand.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive considering all the different locations and setups and props and wardrobe.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, Dr. Leaf just asked, how long did it take to do post production? He also gave a shout out to your university and the New Jersey gang, he said. So with a hang loose.
Awesome, awesome. I need to find out who Dr. Leaf is after this at some point.
He's a huge fan of yours, apparently. Or she. We don't know. I'm
Yeah, no,
sorry. It could be
whoever Dr. Leaf is.
they, them. We don't know.
But
Let us
yeah,
know,
no,
Dr. Leaf, what your pronouns are.
I can't, Dr. Leaf, I can't see the chat. So if shout it out if you want to let me know. Anyway, yeah, so we like post was that was a bit of a process because we, again, because the movie was mostly long takes, it was more or less picture locked really really soon. It wasn't one
Mhm.
day, maybe it was like a week. I distinctly remember we shot in October, and then at the Christmas party at Columbia, everyone was kind of checking in on their thesis films, and I was like, oh, they're like, hey Zach, how are you doing? I'm like, oh, great, I'm picture locked. And then they looked at me like, no, you're not, you're crazy. Are you like not caring about your film? I'm like, no guys, trust me, it's all oneers, like I'm picture locked. Yeah, so it was very very quick. I think within 2 months,
Oh,
um
wow. That is
like
fast.
we had picture lock. And the only real cut that I made outside of like those like micro cuts that you make in like Premiere where you have to cut a frame here and stuff, um
Mhm.
there was a scene with my cameo in it that
Oh.
got that I cut out. um yeah,
Oh.
I was really bummed. I played a news anchor, and it like in between, so she sings like oh why she's in Central Park. The landlord interrupts her and says, your rent check just bounced. If you don't give me your rent money soon, you're screwed.
Mhm.
There, and then before she has the panic attack, there was a scene where she came home, like her roommate was watching TV and flipping through the channels, and in her mind we would see like, this just in, your life's going to hell and everyone hates you. Details at 11, and I was like the news anchor. And then like that would be the thing that gets her into like the bathroom, look in the mirror for the panic attack. And I wrote it for me just so I could like be in it. Like it was totally selfish. And the person who gave us the grant, who was sort of like giving us story notes and stuff this whole time, she was like, Zach, please cut this scene. Like the scene
Oh.
does not need to be here. And my producer, to her credit, Taylor Ortega, was brilliant. Was like, Zach, Katarina's right. Please cut this scene. It does not need to
Oh.
be here. But no, but they were right on. Like it killed the momentum of the piece, and it's like you got to kill your darlings, and so that was, I think, the most editing I actually had to do on this was just cutting that scene out of the assembly.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and then the rest of the time was the sound mix and color, and so because when we shot it, we had basically temp tracks where we had the vocals and we had like a very basic like metronome kind of a thing playing underneath it. So that way we could get the performance and get the physicality of singing, but the music didn't have to be finished for production. So
Mhm.
um a lot of the work after went into like recording the actual instruments and layering
Mm.
down and working with the music producer and to get the tracks right and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we went back and re-recorded some background vocals and harmonies, and we had a second vocal day where we kind of played around with like the aesthetics and kind of the surround sound because we were mixing for 5-1.
Oh,
Because
wow. Nice.
we knew we were going to premiere at Lincoln Center, and so we wanted a five,
Oh.
we had a 5-1 mix.
We
So
just
that
knew we were premiering it.
no,
Lincoln.
like the
I'm just
the
kidding.
the the Columbia Film Festival, all the thesis films screen
Gotcha, gotcha.
at Lincoln Center. So we knew that like we were cutting for the space that we were going to be in, but knowing we were going to take it to festivals and that it was going to be on a DCP, and we
Mhm.
wanted to have like a 5-1 mix in case a festival that used a DCP was playing in a theater with 5-1, and so we wanted to have all that stuff prepped in case we needed it. So that
Nice.
honestly, like the music was sort of the longest part of post production.
Mm.
And I was interning at Saturday Night Live at the time, and so I was not sleeping.
Whoa,
I wasn't
wait a minute.
sleeping.
We I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I interned at SNL
That's incredible.
and Jimmy Fallon. It was cool. It was really cool experience. But yeah, but I was interning there while like during the semester we shot the film and when I was editing. And so
Mm.
I was because it's like I was working nights Wednesday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and so there was no sleep. My sleep schedule was all over the
Yeah.
place.
Oh
So
my gosh. Did
post
you
post was
intern as a writer or
Oh, I wish.
production?
I got the writer's coffee. Colin Jost would come in and be like, "Hey, Zach, here's a new change. Make 30 copies, and can you get me a coffee from Blue Bottle downstairs?" No, it was cool. I was in the script department. So
Nice.
I was
Nice.
I was working with the script coordinators, and that's kind of how I got into like script department work. Um,
Wow. Wow.
it was really neat. I mean, I was there on Wednesdays for the table reads and like um, prepping the scripts for like the 50 sketches that they would prep for the table read and running copies to everybody. And I don't know if you remember like from the 90s the Rob Schneider sketch where he's like in the copy room, like
Mm.
making copies.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the Asherino making copies. That was me. I hung out in the copy room all day and made copies at SNL.
Nice, nice.
But the cool part was
Saying that, right? So that if
right.
anyone
Oh yeah,
walked
no, 100.
in, they
So it
would
was
know
on
how talented you were, right?
so it was on brand. Like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the intern that's watched the show before. Uh, but no, but I was also there on Saturday nights, like for the live show, and it was, when they were like making changes during the show as it was happening, I had to get my 10,000 steps in running it to
Oh,
Lauren and the
wow.
cast and the host and
Mhm.
cue cards and
Wow.
really fun. It was the most fun I ever had at a job ever.
Oh,
But I
man.
was doing that while I was editing. Everything's fine, and so I was going a little insane. I think
Yeah,
during the
I
process.
bet. Oh my gosh, that's intense. Uh, well, just another shout out from Dr. Leaf. He said
Yes.
that he found you on YouTube and then Insta, and then he learned a lot from your videos.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm glad the videos were helpful, Dr. Leaf. That's why I make them. But no,
We found your number one fan.
yeah, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Let's chat after this.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Thank you for watching.
And his pronouns are he. He
Perfect.
clarified.
Okay, great.
And so I think this is a great transition because Dr. Leaf also mentioned that he had read the pilot episode of, and I'm going to butcher the name, but Canusa Street. I don't
Canusa Street.
Canusa Street,
Yeah.
which is actually that I think that actually was where I first found you on the internet because there was like that pitch thing on Twitter. I'm trying to remember what it was called. Do you remember what it was
Oh,
called?
Screen Pit, something Pit, like where
Yes, Screen
y-
Pit.
the thing where you posted your log lines and then the next day half of Twitter was like, "Don't post your log lines, man. They're gonna steal all your stuff." Like that was a thing for a day afterwards.
Yes, yes, that
Yes.
thing. And it was for this
Yeah.
project. And
Yeah.
so, why don't you tell us about this project? And you're currently developing it, correct?
Yep. Yeah, so Canusa Street it's a half hour single camera TV show. It's like a workplace procedural comedy, very NBC networky, like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine or a Parks and Rec, The Good Place.
You
And
just named all the good shows, just all
they're
the good
they're
shows.
among my favorite shows. I would love for this show to be half as good as those shows.
Oh man.
But yeah, it follows a U.S. Border Patrol agent in a town in Vermont where the U.S. Canada border cuts the town right in half. And this is a very real town. This town exists. It's called Derby. It's called
Really?
Derby Line, Vermont. It exists. It's a
Oh
real place.
wow.
And so it follows a U.S. Border Patrol agent as she her and her squad. She solves cases but she has a ongoing rivalry with her arch nemesis, who is her twin sister in the Canadian Mounties.
Oh good.
Um,
So good. I
thank you.
when I read the on IMDb, I read the description and I was like, good, good, this is good, good. And then I got to the twin sister part and I was like, incredible. Absolutely incredible. This show is going to be amazing.
Thank you. I'm really excited. It had a year in 2021. I wrote it in 2020, like when the pandemic started. Just sort of as like an exercise to keep me busy. And then, we did a table read end of 2020, and I was like, oh,
Ah.
maybe this could be like my staffing sample, for the show that has not staffed me yet. Um, and so 2021 we're going through, and it starts like placing in some of like the writing festivals and like the quarterfinalists and kind of some of that stuff, semifinalists awards. And in the summer, in August, I was working at the Kids Tonight show. That's where I was doing the script coordinator, and it started blowing up on the blacklist. Like I was getting those like
Mm,
download notifications, and then
wow.
it got like an 8, and I guess if you score an 8, then they like send it out to more people, and then the blacklist tweeted about it, and it had like a moment in
Wow.
August, um, and it got a lot of buzz, and so that happened, and then in September, October, it won a Catalyst Festival. It won best comedy screenplay at Catalyst, which is the old ITV Fest.
Ooh.
And so it won that, and so all of those things kind of factored in and kind of snowballed, and I realized like, oh, maybe I should shoot this. Like maybe this is a thing. Because I never considered shooting a half-hour pilot before, but
Hmm.
we kind of like all the buzz that it's been getting, and then there's some really really good incentives to shoot in the state of Minnesota. So
Oh, interesting.
we're going to Minnesota to shoot shoot Canusa. But yeah, so like it kind of has sort of like presented itself as this thing, and I guess I'm shooting it in April, and I guess I'm directing it. I have no idea.
Whoa, congrats.
Thank
That's
you,
so
thank you.
cool. So are you self-funding? Did you find investors?
Yeah, we're currently financing. We're currently
Okay.
fundraising right now. If anyone is interested,
Oh,
please give me a call. I can talk more about this.
yeah.
But yeah,
Is there like a crowdfunding link I should put
uh,
in the description?
no, not
Oh,
not
okay.
yet.
No, just
No,
personally wire transfer the money straight
right.
into Zach's account.
I would not say no. No, but no, we are fundraising, and we're kind of trying to do it through like equity financing. Kind of like as if it was an independent film. It just is
Mm,
only 30 minutes, and so it's less days. Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be fun. This is my first kind of big swing since everything's fine, which was at this point like 4 years ago. So
Wow, yeah.
but I'm
Or
excited.
or 40 depending on
Oh,
pandemic
right. Like
time, right?
what is time?
Yeah.
Like time is not a thing anymore.
It's wibbly wobbly, I believe is what it is. Yeah.
That is the proper scientific explanation is
Yes.
definitely wibbly wobbly.
Mhm.
Um, no, but I'm excited. I think like I think this show's a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. It has, it's two twin sisters. Lauren and Sierra Tothero are the actors, and they're comedically brilliant, and they're so much
Ooh.
fun. They do stand up in LA where they like complete each other's sentences. It's really great.
Oh, that's
Um,
great. Oh,
yeah,
man.
so like we're starting to put the squad together for that, and it's I think it's going to be a fun show, and we're hoping to take it to, like kind of through the festival circuit, and if anyone from NBC is listening, I would love to show you the finished product when we're done.
Yeah.
Um,
You should,
but yeah,
submit to the WB Directors Workshop. Have you seen that?
yeah, I'm gonna send some stuff for that.
Nice.
That like it's those are always exciting to
Mm.
throw something out there and see if they like it.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Well, I'm excited for that project. I'm sure it's a big question mark on when it's coming out, but
Yeah, I mean, look, we're shooting in April, so I'll probably take the summer and we'll cut it. It's gonna be like a 9 day shoot in April, hopefully, if everything
Mm,
works out. Which would be great. Like 3 pages a day would be perfect.
yeah.
So yeah, and then we'll cut it, this summer and this fall and get it ready for the festival circuit of like the application or the submissions and stuff in the fall, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, that's kind of the plan, and it's exciting because Sundance and South by in Toronto, and they have episodic categories now, which
Mm.
is like that wasn't a thing 5 years ago.
Yeah.
um
No, it's new.
yeah, so I feel like with maybe one of the good things that's come out of the pandemic is that now there's sort of a demand for streaming and a demand for indie episodic, and maybe
Mhm.
we can sort of be like squeezing through the door before anyone else does.
Right? Yeah, totally. Well, I hope that totally happens because I definitely want to see this show. It sounds incredible.
Thank you.
Uh, um, so before we completely wrap up,
Yeah.
something that I always like to ask people is if they have any advice for aspiring directors or filmmakers, like what advice would you give them?
Oh man, yeah. um I think first and foremost, feed your crew. I know
Mm,
that's like I feel like that's something that people say that as a joke, but I mean it. Like you don't understand how much it goes a long way in just keeping everyone sane and feeling good as if there's like actual warm food, you know.
mm.
Um and it helps if your family's Italian, because then you can cook up something nice. No, but I've called in a lot of favors with friends in the past, and I think it's important to have your people, and
Mm,
have that army of people who will come and work for you no matter what the project is, and that's a hard thing to find,
mm,
and so I think it's a miracle that anything gets made these days. And so if you have people in your corner, if you have friends that are willing to come work with you, the least you can do is just like treat them well, treat them with respect, feed them well, make it fun.
yeah.
And if you make it so that they want to come and work for you the next time because it was such a fun experience, it doesn't matter what you get in the can.
Mhm.
Like if it was a fun experience, obviously make your day and like make the movie, but if it doesn't have to be perfect, if it was a really really fun process. So for me, that I kind of value that part of the experience. Because I want it like, oh, it's a Zach project. Let's have some fun. Let's play around. Like that's the what I want filmmaking to be. And
Mhm.
I've been on sets where like people are yelling at each other, and it's just
Mm.
it's like, why? There's no point. No shot is.
Oh, you pulled him out again. 1 second. Oh,
Ah, hold
there we
on.
go. I think you're good now. Let's see.
Okay. Oh, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, great.
Yes, yes.
No.
Tip to future filmmakers, don't pull out your headphones while talking.
Like don't do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but but
yeah.
but no, I think like the experience of filmmaking is a truly truly magical thing, and the fact that we get to do this every day, and like this is what going to work is, right? Like
Mhm.
it's the dream. Like that's the best thing. So just make it fun for the people who come and work for you. I think that
Yeah.
is the biggest piece of advice that I have. And then, outside of that, like no one cares what camera you shoot with. No one cares like about the tech stuff. Just like don't shoot with your iPhone, but like find like one step above iPhone, you're fine,
Yeah.
Um, but it just like tell a good story and articulate what you want to articulate with the camera and with dramatic beats, and let the writing kind of be your guide.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say the new iPhone is quite impressive.
It is. It bothers me though that portrait mode, like I would have much rathered like video portrait mode to be something where you can screw a lens onto the
Mhm.
thing. Like I think Zeiss had these like lenses you could actually screw onto the
Yeah.
iPhone
Mhm.
and do like optically what portrait mode is trying to like fake with like AI and stuff.
Yeah.
Um but no, like what you can do with an iPhone now is really, really cool.
Yeah.
But it just sucks that like the interface of shooting with an iPhone is miserable.
Yes. Well, this is true.
It can't all be perfect.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Leaf had another question that kind of dovetails into a question I had.
Okay.
He said you mentioned Rutgers University. Is it worth going? And are there resources that you recommend that people check out?
Yeah. So if Dr. Leaf is a high school student, I highly recommend going to Rutgers University for undergrad, especially the film program. It's awesome. It was not there when I was a student,
Oh.
and I was kind of like a guinea pig, sort of going through like as they were building the program, I was going through it. So I kind of was sort of the test run for the film program, but
Mm.
it's great. I like Rutgers changed my life in more ways than I could possibly articulate in the next couple minutes. So yes, Rutgers is awesome. I had a great time there. And like if you're from New Jersey, it's like New Jersey State. So, why not like go home, like stay home and
Save
utilize
money.
utilize resources in your backyard, cuz there's nothing like going to college and being so close to New York City that you're practically local.
Mm.
Because New Jersey, it like for New Jersey's here and New York's here, and it's like a 35-minute train ride.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's faster to get from New Brunswick to New York than it is to get from like parts of Queens or Brooklyn to Midtown. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, so that's my plug. I'm a big Rutgers fan. The football team is always terrible, but like I still root for them. So as far as resources go, I mean, I think regardless of whatever school you're going to, whether it's film school or just undergrad that has like
Oh no. Bloop, 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 bloop.
no.
Once again, the headphones
Ah,
strike.
we were we were doing so well.
Yeah,
Can you
but
hear me now?
yes,
Okay,
definitely.
great. No, as far as like resources go, just I mean, work within your means, right? Like you can only do what you're capable of doing with what you have. I
Mhm.
think the best part, like,
Oh no, we lost you
oh,
again.
I didn't touch anything this time.
I know. I didn't see you touch anything. It really doesn't like your headphones all of a sudden. It's like, you know what? It's been an hour and I'm done.
It is it is over it. It is over it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna keep my hands like above
Yeah.
above here.
Above your head.
Yes, we're gonna be right here.
Yeah.
No, but I forget what I was saying, but I don't know. Just like use
Resources. Use what you have.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
use what you have, because as you shoot more and as you do more filmmaking, you'll find more and you'll have access to more, and it is really an exercise in creativity to write something good and powerful and meaningful within the ballpark that you have to play with.
Hmm.
So I mean you saw it with Everything's Fine. I wrote scenes at my college, at my parents' house. The apartment that her apartment was my apartment in New York that we just
Mm.
dressed up. And we shot on the streets in Midtown, which is free to shoot. So um yeah, like if you're shooting in New York City, that's why every movie has scenes that take place on the sidewalk, because you don't need a permit. You can just go and shoot your movie on the sidewalk.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I think the only thing we needed a permit for and Everything's Fine was Central Park. because
Oh.
that was kind of a different thing. But yeah, it was all locations that I had access to. So
Mm.
that's where we shot the film. You know, and it's amazing what you can do with a little bit of production design to sort of make something look, you know, different than what it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, resources doesn't matter. Your script matters. Like write a good story
Mm.
and the resources will come into place, you know.
Yeah. And just practice, practicing the craft always makes you better and better at what you're doing. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, it's like you have to make like the 5 bad student films,
Mhm.
right? Like you have to make like the film where, you know, you're doing the fake guns and it's like a fake Mission Impossible James Bond thing and it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Everyone you have to do that. Everyone does that. You have to do the film where like a character died before the film starts and the whole movie is someone just moping and then it gets to the scene
Yeah.
where they're at the grave and it's like kneeling at a grave planting the flowers and the camera racks focus onto
Oh,
like a tree
man.
or something. Like you have to do that film. Like everyone does that film.
Definitely guilty.
You have to do it. You know, you have to do the film where it's a bunch of friends sitting around a table and it's like, "Oh guys, we have to make a movie. What movie do we do?" Like everyone has to do that
Yeah.
movie.
The meta movie that you
Yeah.
think is really clever. Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone like but even though everyone's done that, you won't find the good thing until you do those bad things. Like you just
Mhm.
have to make the bad shorts and the bad films and um but that it's like going it's like you know you have to put the reps in it's that repetition you have practice makes perfect. You have to kind of go through that bad stuff like chipping away at a block of marble. Eventually there's the sculpture that's underneath it, but you have to get all the crap out of the way first.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Well, one last question before you go,
Totally.
because Flippin' Zippo has a question for you. He says,
Open
late,
Zippo.
late question, but how many rewrites do you do? And that's a great question.
That's a great question. It totally depends on the script. For Everything's Fine, I think there were 17 rewrites.
Hmm.
um I think 17. For Canusa Street I'm on like 5 and we haven't even shot the thing yet. But it just depends. Like you're never not writing, you know, you're
Yeah.
never not rewriting, you're never not punching up, you're never not polishing. um
Mhm. Especially with
it just
comedy, I feel like comedy
oh
is
my
like
god.
the special asterisks of like, yes, the script is locked, but on set we're gonna like improv and it's gonna change
Right.
then.
No, the script is never locked. You just run out of time. You know, that's it's like that. What's the that like Lorne Michaels quote where he's like, "Oh, like we don't do the show because it's ready. We do the show because it's 11:30 on Saturday." Something like that.
Yeah.
Or it would be more like, okay, so we do the show and Saturday night.
Wow. That's very good. That's a good one.
My favorite inside joke in all of comedy is that Lorne Michaels is Dr. Evils. Like that is it's my favorite thing.
Was he the inspiration? Because now it suddenly makes so much sense.
Yeah, no, it's like this is like the worst kept inside joke in all of comedy. But like, I think it's so funny that Doctor Evil is just Mike Myers doing a Lorne Michaels impression.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's my favorite
So
thing.
good.
But yeah, so it like it's that it's like you're constantly rewriting. You're constantly like as long as you have time to rewrite a joke, you will find a way to rewrite it, and that's just kind of
Yeah.
how it works. And so you eventually have to like fire yourself as the writer, right? You just have to like tell yourself to go away now. We're not writing anymore.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
even when you're on set, you're gonna like constantly be firing out alternatives and like, hey, try this. Hey, try this. Like, what about this? Or the
Mhm.
actor might have something, and then you're gonna rewrite the whole scene because the actor's idea ended up being brilliant and completely changes what you thought the scene could be. And now you think it's better, and so we're gonna do like 5 more takes on that idea. Um, and that's, I mean, I like that. That's fun. Like discovering something new in the moment. Like that's great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, like rewriting is happening all the time.
Totally. Yeah. And it's the other reason why, cast people who are really good at their jobs because they're going to come up with really
Yeah.
good ideas that are better than yours. And that's okay. That's what
Oh yeah.
filmmaking is, a team sport. So,
No, a good actor is a good like is him or herself a good writer. Like it's
mhm.
just you find surround yourself with people who are good storytellers, and you will discover things that you didn't know about your character or you didn't know about your story. And like
Yeah.
and that's like I like to work with people who are smarter than me, just like that's
Yeah.
across the board. And as the director, you have to, and not everybody because that would be chaos, but like you have to identify people on your creative team, whether it's your producer, your lead actor, your AD, your whoever it is, um, you have to give some people permission to tell you suggestions. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's vital that as a director you create some kind of pathway for someone to say, "Hey, I have an idea," because as you as the director, your ideas could be crap. Like they could be, they might be fine, they could be okay, but they could very well be terrible. And you have to let someone say, "Hey, I have an idea that I think is better.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why." And not only do you have to allow someone to say that, you have to be willing to shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I can't think of an example off the top of my head right in this moment, but there were plenty things that we did on Everything's Fine and other shoots where it was the actor saying, "Hey, what if we did this?" Or if it was like the DP saying, "Hey man, I think this, what if we did it this way?" Or like that collaboration, like you said, it's a team. And
Yeah.
um you know yeah, someone has to be the captain of the ship and someone has to make sure we make our day. And as the director, that's on you, to make, you have to get the movie done. But I want to work on a set where the director doesn't think that they're right all the time, you
Yeah.
know
Mm-hmm.
and because it's in that collaboration that you find some really true moments that might not have been there on the page.
Yeah, totally. Well, Zach, this was so much fun. Thank you for being on. It
Thank
was,
you.
yeah, it was just an absolute blast. And I really Canusa. I can't wait for Canusa Street.
Canusa, like
Canusa. I'm just
Canusa. Yeah,
I'm never gonna get it right.
it's okay, no one
You
will.
know what though? What if the people on one side of the town call it one thing and the people on the other side of town call it something else?
I actually I love that idea because the town in Vermont, it's Vermont, where Vermont borders with Canada is actually Quebec. So
Mm,
they're French Canadian. So they should have like
yeah. An
French accents.
accent. Yes.
I'm not gonna attempt to do a French accent right now, but I think like it would be
No, this is
really
on the internet forever, so
right.
don't
No,
don't
this is publishing to YouTube like right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so I think like yes, I love that. I think that could be really
Take it.
funny.
It's yours. Run with it.
Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
but yeah, no, I think that's a lot of fun. And like, that's the stuff we want to play with, like
Mhm.
those sort of like micro differences
Mm.
between whether you were born on this side of the street or that side.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I'm from Central New Jersey, which is in and of itself disputed territory between North Jersey and South Jersey. And
Oh,
there are those like little things. There's like like what do you call the little colorful things that you put on ice cream?
sprinkles?
Yeah, so most people call them sprinkles. If you go like a town south from me, they call them jimmies.
What?
Or
Like
yeah, or like what's the sandwich that's really really long that you put like meat and cheese and stuff on? That's
like
like,
a sub sandwich or
a
deli
sub.
sandwich?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I call it a sub. You go like a town over from me, they call it a hoagie.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, so my town is right on that border, and that's part of where the idea for Canusa Street kind of came from. So yeah, so like I want to play with all of those things. Like you go to the other side of town and they call food and names and stuff differently, and that to me
Mhm.
is really funny.
Oh, I think Dr. Leaf might be so he's like, "Subway? Like the Subway sandwich?" Yes,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
Subway sandwich, yeah.
yeah. Like a sub. Like I call it a sub. I'm going to a sub shop,
Yeah, yeah.
but you could be getting a hoagie from Wawa, and like that's a thing.
Okay.
New Jersey is a weird place.
It sounds wild. Everything I've heard about it sounds wild. But where can people find you if they want to follow you,
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
internets
So
or
I'm
in real
at
life? But I don't know if you want to give your address. Just saying.
no, I'm currently in New Jersey at the moment. But my I'm at Zack Morrison 18 on Twitter and Instagram. YouTube and Vimeo, it's slash Zack Morrison. I spell my name ZackMorrison. So if anyone wants to find that, but it's in the description. Like my name's in the,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. So that's fine. There's words underneath this. But yeah, like I'm Zack Morrison online, and I have films on Vimeo, and YouTube is where we're doing this like behind the scenes project
Oh,
of Canusa Street. Yeah, I'm kind of like vlogging,
nice.
or like TikToking the sort of BTS kind of pre-production process.
Hmm.
And then my YouTube show is called We Have a Show, and it's like a crowdsourced collaborative late night talk show that
Wow.
we've done on and off for several years now.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you again so much for coming and chatting with me. And thank you to you guys for watching. Once again, just a reminder, if you ever miss a live stream, you can always rewatch them and watch the entire archive of all of the live streams by supporting me on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. I also have other perks, like I have templates for call sheets and storyboards and all that stuff, and budgets and whatnot. So if you support me on Patreon, you get those, which is super great. So thank you so much. Oh, lock picking engineer, I didn't see you till now. Hello, thanks for watching. My fans have the most interesting names: Flippin' Zippo, lock picking engineer. I feel like you
Yeah.
guys need to get together and make something interesting.
That's a band right there. Like
Yeah. Oh, that's
flip and Zippo and the Lockpick Engineer. Like
ooh, that's pretty
that's
good.
like a 70s rock band waiting to happen.
Yeah. But good night and thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time. Until then, go film it yourself.